Welcome, and I'm the 40kRenegade. Just about to introduce you to a new feature of this channel as I switch interests from what I used to do to 40k. Now I'm an old 40k player from the Rogue Trader days, so I go back a bit. However, I stopped playing when they turned to 2nd edition, and I haven't really played since 7th edition. So there's a big gap in my knowledge between Rogue Trader and 7th edition, which means I'm going to need your help, guys. When you hear me talking about things that have changed since Rogue Trader, remember I haven't played those rules, so you're going to have to post a link below or comment below and just update me on these things. However, I did start playing on 7th edition and I now run several armies. And I'll be talking about those armies, and I'll be talking about Games Workshop's offers, what I think of them, the books, the stories, everything basically. It's just me talking about my hobby, as you might imagine. I'm a massive fan of Mini Wargamer. I think they're basically mental. I like Arch, I like One Man Syndicate, Striking Scorpion, and a dozen others. I think they all do a great job. However, I feel they're missing out on a few areas of the hobby by being a bit too specific. So I'm going to be a bit more general in this, and by running a series of blogs, just like Arch does in fact. I'll put some pictures up for you to look at, some photos of my own stuff perhaps, and we'll have some fun. Now, since this is an introduction, and this is the first video, well, the first audio blog I'm going to make for my channel for 40k. Let's start by talking about recent changes to Games Workshop in 2016. Now, Games Workshop have always produced rather expensive models, but when you compare it to other brands, they work out probably about the same price. However, they do now release starter box sets, and whilst 2015 saw their profits dip, 2016 has seen their profits rise, and there's been one important difference in the way they do business, and that is the starter box sets. They've done starter box sets, battle box sets, all kinds of stuff, and these box sets tend to be great value for money. For starters, for example, just to give an example, the Imperial Guard box set. The Chimera would be what, £25? Squad of Imperial Guard about 18. Total cost, well, say including the pennies, about 45 quid. But you can get a box set now with both of those things in for 32. Which begs the question, if they could sell a box set with those two things in for 32, were the other boxes overpriced? Chances are they were, I'd say. So it's given the fact most things are quite expensive. Now, another thing I like to talk about is paints. Now, Games Workshop paints are okay. The base paints are quite thick, so you water them down. But that leads to a bit of inconsistency, because if you're painting with them and you don't water them down in quite the same manner, then you're going to get different results every time you use them. Now, I come from a generation where you do things yourself, so that's not really a problem for me. But I find today's generations tend to be more have it done for you, which I know I'm speaking to a 40k community here, and the 40k community tends to be creative, and they make their own scenery, make their own models, and they customise things, so you're a little bit different from most people. However, ready-made paints are so much easier to use, as you know. If you get the right paint, the right colour straight away, it makes things a bit easier. So I tend to shop around, and some of the paints I use, I've actually liked to use, include the P3 paints from Privateer Press, Vallejo paints, Games Workshop paints. I've found there's, for instance, a nice mix you can get, for instance, there's certain golds from P3 that match very closely with Games Workshop paints, and they're much better value for money. And then you've got like Vallejo. I mean, their grey gunmetal is practically identical to lead belcher, only it's a lot smoother going on and mixes better when you add water. So there are little tips and tricks that I'll be sharing on the channel, along these lines, says to basically it's just to express my interest in the hobby, really. I'm not going to be sticking strictly with Games Workshop stuff because, to be honest, some of it isn't very good value for money. But I will be singing their praises when they actually do things right. Also, we're going to be talking about some of the books occasionally as well. I'm not such an avid reader as, say, Archers or anything like that, so if you want to get right into the nitty-gritty, I recommend specific lore channels. However, I do like a good story. And to be honest, some of the writers I've liked in the past aren't really around anymore. They've been replaced. Things like Ian Watson and so forth. In fact, I've got the books right here. Where are they? Yeah, Ian Watson and William King and a few like that. I mean, Draco, Harlequin, Chaos Child, Farseer. Excellent books. Now, some of the ones I've read recently, not so good. I mean, I'm reading Prospero Bairns at the moment, and I'm about halfway through the book, and I've only seen 1,000 Suns Marine in it, and there was one line of text about him. They haven't gone anywhere near the Thousand Suns homeworld yet, so it's kind of like, what's this story about? Is it about some administration guy, or is it about a 40k universe? Because so far it seems to be about an admin guy. My understanding is the author who used to write for Doctor Who. Oops, sorry about that. My understanding is the author used to write for Doctor Who. But Doctor Who stories have been notoriously bad of late. So that's not really a good advert. See, there was also a few years back, because I was reading 40k stories even when not playing the game. And I found some of the quality control of the books just way down to what it used to be. I mean, the standard spelling mistakes, grammar. I mean, I'm a right one for talking about grammar and spelling mistakes. I mean, I'm dyslexic. I make loads of mistakes. However, if I can spot them, it shows you how bad they are. But anyway, we're going to be talking about all kinds of stuff. So it should be interesting, and I'm going to go into details, tactics, and reasons why these tactics should be considered. Because I've noticed a lot of the established channels have their own. They're set in their ways. They have their own way of viewing things and their own way of doing things, and they'll prefer one unit over another. And I felt the same way when I first got back into playing. I felt exactly the same way they did. But then I started picking up these units that I didn't really bother with and didn't sound that interesting to me. And I've discovered that they all have their uses and they all add spice to the game. So we'll be looking at that as well. And we're going to do some comparisons between certain units just so people can see when something's better to use than another unit. So it's kind of like Obliterators versus Havocs, which will probably be one of the first videos I make. And then we got tanks and all that kind of nonsense that we throw in, orcs, all the forgotten races and why they're still effective. I don't play competitively. I play 40k with friends basically, so I'm not a competitive player. And to be honest, competitive gaming would probably bore me because it requires you build your lists a certain way to win all the time, and I think it kind of like makes 40k less 40k and more about winning at all costs. For instance, right, we have a 2,000 point agreement in our games. If you want to take knights or baneblades or anything massive like that, or use apocalyptic rules for anything, you have to have more than 2,000 points worth of troops on the board. This keeps the game interesting. So I mean, you get to a point where 2,000 points represents a massive battle for normal troops. But you go 2,001 points over that, you can field 4 knights instead, because by that point, everybody in the game would have something that could take them knights out. It'd be a fair battle. But under 2,000 points, that's not necessarily going to be the case. Although, to be honest, you could probably do it a lot cheaper than that. But the battle would be lopsided. The army wouldn't be balanced in any way. And we like our armies balanced, you see. Another role we have is reinforcements. You can bring them on when you like, providing it's after everything else has moved on the first turn. So things like flyers, for example, can come on straight away. deep striking can happen when you need it to happen. It makes a game much more tactical. We used to do the original Rogue Trader alternate turns game, where I moved a unit, the opponent moved a unit, but it was taking far too long. However, that was massively more strategic than the take a whole turn, the other side takes a whole turn. Because one thing I've noticed when I got back into playing is the system employed now, the system that the turn sequence that is massively unfair to on turn one. It gives someone a massive advantage, and to be honest, the old system never did. The old system did include the new system, but you could choose which one you wanted to do. This time round, it's just like turn for turn. You know, you take a turn, they take a turn. Where before you could do that, or you could do unit for unit. Anyhow, it says, what else did we do? Oh yeah, we changed the deviation rules in what we play locally as well. Basically, a deviation rule would only ever be half the distance thrown or fired maximum, up to 12 inches obviously. So if someone fired say 24 inches, it would deviate a maximum of 12. If someone fired 12 inches, it'd deviate a maximum of 6. Now this was to get around a problem we identified when Lem Russ took a shot at infantry which was 4 inches in front of him, and it destroyed itself. The Lem Russ battle cannon literally had a shot deviate back onto itself, and it took out its rear armour, so to speak, which was absolutely ridiculous. So we introduced that rule to stop that. So you might clip yourself with it if you fire too close, but a shot would never land behind you if you're firing forward, not ever. And it's been working so far. It's been working quite well. It also means infantry are back on the table, so to speak. Not infantry, flyers are back on the table. They're worth it. Although, to be honest, the new rules and stuff for flyers, I don't know about them. You know, they feel like a bolted-on sequence and not a natural part of the game to me. Like psychic powers, although I do use psychic powers quite a lot. Anyway, this is a small introduction to what I'll be talking about. I'm going to sign off there and get on with making some other vids. See you in the next one.